So it's the middle of December, not exactly peak camping season. Our campsite's actually only open April till September, roughly speaking. But maybe you're a farmer, landowner, got a plot of land, thinking about opening a campsite or want to know a little bit more about the process. We've been doing this for nearly 4 years now and have learnt loads on the way. So this video is all about how you can open a campsite on your little plot of land, your farm. Going to talk about permitted development, licensing, planning permission, infrastructure, things we've learned, how much money you can make from it, and a few other bits on the way. So hopefully that's of interest, and here we go. So if you're anything like us, you probably have no idea if camping will be popular at your location, if it's something you'll like having effectively in the garden, if it's something which people are going to enjoy at your location. And there's a lot of risks there, which are probably going to put you off investing straight away all in on a campsite if you're not sure on any of those factors, and there's loads more as well. And the great thing is, through permitted development, you're allowed 56 days a year of things like camping without any planning permission or licensing. I really recommend making the most of that. Do a little trial, see if you like it, see if people like it, and go from there. And in our first year, actually, we didn't have any infrastructure, we didn't invest in the infrastructure. All we did, found a local rental company who had some spare bell tents, access to a couple of portaloos. We just did a little profit share for 6 weeks during the summer. Allowed them to use their sort of unused stock at the time, and it allowed us a little trial of camping. I think we made like 80 quid profit each off of it, but the point was, we learned if we liked it, which we did, people liked coming, and it was enough for us to get the confidence for the next year to actually start thinking about having a proper campsite. So if you've done a little experiment, or you just want to dive right into opening a campsite, you'll need one of two things. That is either full planning permission from your local council or a license. Now, planning permission is, generally speaking, more time consuming, more expensive, more complicated, and has more risk factors. You'll need that if you want permanent structures like glamping pods on concrete bases, or like something like a full shower block on a concrete slab, that sort of thing, anything that's got a new permanent structure. But the other option is using what's called an exempt organisation to get a campsite licence, which is what we did. Now, there's a number of organisations who do this. You've got Greener Camping Club, Freedom Camping Club, the Caravan and Camping Club, or Camping and Caravan Club, the Motorhome Club, and the one we used, which is the Woodland Champions Club. That is effectively our license right there. But yeah, this process took us about a month start to finish. It's £500 fee for them to go away. They'll speak to the council, check any other restrictions out for you, and providing you meet the criteria, which aren't too stringent, they can issue a license to operate a campsite. Now, our license allows us to operate, I think it's 364 days a year. The only thing we're not allowed is tree houses, which isn't an issue. And we're allowed up to 10 tent pitches and 5 movable structures, so shepherd's huts, caravans, that sort of thing, at any one time. And it works a treat. We've renewed that for 21, 22, 23, and we'll do it again for 2024. £300 a year renewal. And yeah, that just allows us to operate this campsite. So it's nice and small. We've got a 3-acre field. We have like 10 pitches. There's loads of space. We didn't want to cram in loads of tents and make it too busy or congested. And for us, it works really well. It means in the future, if we wanted to go bigger, we'll have like several years of data and evidence that a campsite here works. And yeah, there's just some really basic things which you need to do each year to retain the license, you know, having fire assembly points, first aid kits, up-to-date insurance details, that sort of thing. So it's quite an easy, low maintenance way to get into having a permanent campsite. So obviously, alongside tents and basic camping facilities, you're going to want some toilets and showers. I was in a bit of a runner for making things out of pallets at the time, so I actually built these 2 showers and these 3 loos out of pallets essentially as a frame, and kitted out the interior. It's a really good way of building things on a bit of a budget, which is still functional. Going to give these an upgrade over the spring so they look a bit more like these, which we did this year. But essentially, we've got 2 flushing loos connected to our sewage treatment plant, and a urinal there, 2 hot showers. Now, shower-wise, we use these 6-litre Camplux heaters, which just work amazingly. You plug them into a barbecue gas bottle, basic garden hose input for water, and you got hot, high-pressure showers in the middle of a field with no electricity. So really recommend those if you're looking for a shower option and you've got access to water. That's all you need, and then you just got to get the gas checked each year by a gas engineer. And on the toilet front, so we actually had compost loos for the first couple of years. They're probably not quite as bad as I thought they'd be, or you may think they'd be. If you've got small groups, people who aren't drunk and there's no kids, they generally work absolutely fine. You just got to empty them before they fill up, which is generally speaking like once a week, depending on how many people come through and how big the toilet is. But yeah, if you have drunk people, kids, or large groups, not pleasant. And so this year we plumbed ours in. We had a new sewage treatment plant put in over there. And we just had to dig a shallow trench and lay some waste pipes down, and we're now fully plumbed in there, which is a real upgrade. Sometimes with a license, you're restricted on the amount of like building and earthworks you can do. Because that was just a little shallow trench, it was absolutely fine. I think if you need to get big diggers in and do major earthworks, it's sometimes not allowed, and you might need further planning permission to do that. And these are obviously movable structures. We can just scoop them up with a telehandler and move them. Nothing's attached to the ground, no foundations, which keeps that all within our regulations. So you'll then need to think about what kind of camping you want to offer, and we basically do two or both options. So we've got bell tents. We have 3 bell tents which sit down this side of the field, and they're essentially glamping, so they come with beds, linen, some storage, some lighting. There's a little bit more of a premium option, means you don't need to bring too much stuff with you yourself. And then we use the other 7 pitches we have for bring your own tent. Bring your own tent's probably about 60% of our bookings, and slightly flipped on its head in terms of actual revenue generated, but it's nice to have both options. It's obviously the thing which is a bit time consuming, so if you're limited on time, just having a bring your own tent site will save you, because obviously changing the bell tents over sometimes on a 2-3 times a week basis can add up. But yeah, we've got both options. You don't need to have both. If you're going to have one, I'd recommend starting with bring your own. It's just easier, obviously. The good thing about bell tents, having them up through the summer, they're kind of like a marketing tool. People can see them from further away. They think, "Ooh, what's that over there? It looks like a campsite." And then people start talking about it and noticing it on the back of it. So that's another thing to consider. And if you're going to go down the bell tent route, you're going to need some linen if you're providing that level of service. Some places will do it all themselves. Me, I frankly can't be bothered. I don't have the time, the space, or the energy to wash and dry and iron fresh batches of sheets all the time. We use a service called Air Linen. It works really well. You just go online, order sets of sheets, towels, bedding, etc. Come in a nice sealed bag. It's about 20 quid a pop, and we just build that into the cost of the bell tents, and it just makes the whole process nice and easy, stress-free, makes it all someone else's problem, gives me time to do other things. So you've then got your campsite, you've built it, it exists. How do you sell it? Where do you list it? That sort of thing. So we actually now just use one site and one site only. That's Hip Camp. They bought a site called Cool Camping a couple of years ago. Cool Camping used a booking system called Bedful, which I really didn't get on with. It's quite complex, dated. It's not very user-friendly. The Hip Camp interface is much nicer. It's really easy to use from our side in terms of managing the calendar, automating messages for guests ahead of their arrival, and everything else, to be honest with you, within that system. And it's much nicer from a user's point of view as well, in terms of booking. They're great for search, so our listing appears right at the top of Google if people are looking for campsites near here. You can use Airbnb, some people use PitchUp. I think they're all fairly similar. We used Wix Hotels as well to start with, because that's who our website is built through. But I found managing and merging those calendars and all that just unnecessarily complex. I'm kind of here for an easy life. So yeah, we just use one. I recommend Hip Camp. The other good thing that I like about them is it's just they take a percentage fee from each booking, so there's no big annual fees to worry about renewing. And yeah, it's another thing you can just build into the cost of the bell tents or the bookings, so that it doesn't actually feel like it costs you anything to be a part of it. They've got good customer service. They've given us a couple of awards in the last couple of years and that sort of thing. So I recommend them, but yeah, there's plenty of other options too. But I'd recommend, yeah, pick one, go with them, and then expand from there rather than trying to be listed everywhere from day one. Next thing to maybe consider is electricity and Wi-Fi. Do you need it? Well, we don't have it. This is basically a field which used to have a few horses living in it. We are not connected to mains electricity. We've got no Wi-Fi pretty much anywhere near here. You've got to go into the main farmyard to access that. And it's not a problem. We've had precisely 0 people have an issue with that since we got up and running. We're just a quiet little off-grid campsite. People can bring their own portable chargers if they want to charge their phone up. We've got decent phone coverage, so you can, hop on Deliveroo and order a pizza and that sort of thing. But yeah, if that's holding you back or something which you don't have, which you think you need, you don't. Maybe one day we'll lay some cable and get it here. It's just one of those costs which you kind of want to avoid from day one if you can do. But as I say, if you're worried about not having power, don't be. People can cope without it. And then similarly to electricity, we were slightly concerned we wouldn't actually have enough to sort of keep people entertained. Again, don't be. A lot of people will come for a camping trip to escape from busy life, from city life, that sort of thing. And having an empty field, which is peaceful, where you can watch birds, see the odd tractor go past, is more than enough. I think obviously don't oversell it if you're claiming to have things which you don't. But yeah, from day one we had pretty much nothing. Now we've obviously got our cafe, which works really nicely, so people can stay the night, wake up, have a nice coffee the next day with a pastry. We have pizza nights on Tuesday nights, so a lot of people cycle down, stay the night, grab a pizza, have a couple of beers with their mates, and then cycle back in the next day. So things like that work really well. But as I say, you don't need to offer a huge amount for people to be happy. If they've got toilets, showers, nice views, peace and quiet, that is a campsite. And then you can do more than that if you want to. But yeah, as I say, from day one, you don't need to offer the whole world for everybody. So there you go, there's a quick overview of how we run this campsite, how we got it up and running. To give you a steer on numbers, so we basically got our license in 2021, actually not till halfway through the summer. So that year we had about 50 bookings. Last year, so 2022, we had just over 100 bookings. 2023, we hit 200 bookings. So that generated just over 20k in revenue just for the campsite, which is nice. And obviously it's quite profitable. Once you've taken the cost of bell tents away and linen, it's pretty much all profit from that point onwards. Things like petrol for the lawnmower and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's fairly profitable. To give you an idea of the scale, so we do no marketing for this. It's all organic, just through what HipCamp give us and what we get through Google and SEO. I think we could probably double that if we really put our heads to it, but because it's just me managing the campsite, changing all the tents, kind of at the sort of capacity with all the other stuff going on here, that sort of level of bookings works quite nicely. We maybe increase the number of bring your own tents or something, or that, rather than push the bell tents too much. But yeah, that's how this site works for us. I think next year we'd hopefully do similar 200 to 300 bookings, and that would work really nicely. It's the sort of thing which you're never going to retire off, but it's really nice incremental revenue. And once you're up and running, it's not too much work. It's a case of cleaning loos, stocking up shower gel, stocking up loo rolls, that sort of thing. Doesn't take too many hours per week. Obviously, if you're maybe driving the combine in the summer, that's going to coincide with peak camping time as well. So summer holidays is obviously where we have the most bookings. So it might be that you can't combine a full-time farming job with running a campsite as well. But if you've got a few hours a week where you can plan around your existing lifestyle, then I'd recommend it. So yeah, that's a little bit about how we got this up and running. If you've got any questions, please Instagram us, comment, email us, whatever. Please subscribe. We'll do more about the campsite when it's actually up and running again. Obviously it's just a muddy field at the moment at this time of year, so it's kind of hard to imagine how it looks. But yeah, that's a bit about camping. We like it, and hopefully that helps you make up your mind if you want to get into it too.